Hi, my name is Anna. I love to travel and explore new places, but let me tell you, traveling isn't always easy, especially when something unexpected happens. Today, I'm here to share a story about one of my most unforgettable trips. It was a sunny morning, and I was at the airport, all set for a dream vacation. My suitcase was packed, my ticket was in hand, and I felt so excited. But little did I know, I was about to face a big problem. Have you ever imagined losing something important during a trip? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. In this video, we'll learn how to handle such situations in English. You'll hear the story of what happened, learn useful phrases, and practice speaking with me. Trust me, you'll feel more confident the next time you travel. Before we begin, don't forget to turn on subtitles and repeat the sentences with me. This will help improve your pronunciation and make you more comfortable speaking English. Are you ready? Let's get started. The airport was buzzing with activity. Announcements echoed through the halls, suitcases rolled across the floor, and excited travelers hurried to their gates. I was feeling the same excitement, ready to board my flight to Paris, a city I'd always dreamed of visiting. After checking in my luggage, I decided to grab a coffee and relax. I reached into my bag to double-check my documents. Let me see, I said to myself. Boarding pass? Check. Wallet? Check. Passport? My heart dropped. My passport wasn't there. I froze for a moment, my mind racing. Where could it be? Did I leave it at home? Did I drop it? I quickly unzipped every pocket of my backpack, pulling out books, snacks, and even my phone charger. But there was no passport. Panic started to creep in. My flight was leaving in less than an hour, and without my passport, I couldn't go anywhere. I looked around the cafe, hoping I might have placed it on the table or dropped it nearby. Excuse me, I said to a staff member. Did anyone find a passport here? The barista shook her head. No, I'm sorry, but you can check with the airport's lost and found. Lost and found? I hadn't even thought of that. Suddenly, I felt a small spark of hope. Maybe someone found it and turned it in. Clutching my bag tightly, I ran to the information desk. Hi, I lost my passport, I explained breathlessly. Can you help me? The staff member smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, let me check. She typed on her computer and made a quick phone call. As I waited, I couldn't stop thinking about the worst-case scenario. What if no one had found it? What if I missed my flight? I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. It's going to be okay, I whispered to myself. Finally, the woman hung up the phone. Good news! Someone found a passport near the security checkpoint. Please head there right away to verify if it's yours. Thank you so much, I said, relief washing over me. I grabbed my bag and headed straight to the security area, hoping and praying it was my passport they had found. As I hurried toward the security checkpoint, my heart raced with a mix of hope and anxiety. The bustling crowds around me seemed to blur as I focused on getting there as quickly as possible. When I arrived, I spotted an officer standing near the entrance, holding a small object in his hand. Could it be my passport? I quickened my pace and approached him. Excuse me, I said, slightly out of breath. I heard someone found a passport. Could it be mine? The officer gave me a kind smile and held up the item. Can you describe your passport for me? Of course, I replied quickly. It's a blue passport with my photo on the second page. My name is on the inside, Emily Green. The officer nodded and opened the passport, checking the details. Emily Green, he confirmed, holding it out to me. Yes, that's me, I said, relief flooding over me. He handed it to me with a smile. Here you go. It's a good thing someone turned it in. Always double-check your belongings when traveling. I will from now on, I promise. Thank you so much, I said gratefully, clutching the passport like it was the most precious thing in the world. As I stepped away from the security desk, I let out a long breath. The panic that had gripped me earlier was now replaced with a sense of relief and gratitude. I had my passport, and I could still make my flight, but there was no time to waste. Glancing at the clock, I realized I had only 20 minutes before boarding. Okay, Emily, I said to myself. Time to focus. I hurried toward the security line, passport and boarding pass in hand. The line was long, and the minutes ticked by painfully slow. I shifted from one foot to the other, willing the line to move faster. Finally, it was my turn. The security officer scanned my boarding pass and glanced at my passport. Everything was in order, and I passed through the checkpoint without any issues. As I gathered my belongings on the other side, I couldn't help but smile. The worst was over. All I had to do now was get to the gate. I checked the monitors for my flight information. Gate 22. Okay, not too far, I thought, picking up my pace. The airport felt like a maze of signs and corridors, but I managed to navigate through it, following the arrows to my gate. When I arrived, I saw a line of passengers waiting to board. Relief turned into joy as I realized I wasn't too late. I joined the line, catching my breath as I held my passport tightly in my hand. As the airline staff scanned my boarding pass, I stepped onto the jet bridge with a feeling of triumph. I had made it. Settling into my seat on the plane, I let out a deep sigh. The day had been chaotic, but it had also taught me something important. Never underestimate the power of double-checking, I thought with a wry smile. Looking out of the window as the plane began to taxi, I felt a sense of excitement return. My adventure in Paris was back on track, and this small hiccup was now just a story to tell. The airplane landed smoothly at Charles de Gaulle Airport, and I felt a wave of excitement wash over me. Paris, the city of light, was finally within reach. As I stepped out of the plane, the scent of fresh croissants and the hum of French voices filled the air. It was magical, almost like stepping into a dream. After collecting my luggage, I followed the signs to the train station that would take me into the city. The process was seamless, and soon I was seated by the window, watching the outskirts of Paris give way to charming streets and iconic architecture. By the time I arrived at my hotel, the sky was painted in hues of pink and orange. The Eiffel Tower sparkled in the distance, reminding me why I had chosen Paris for my first solo trip abroad. It was everything I had imagined and more. But before diving into my Parisian adventure, I needed food. Jet lag had me craving something comforting, so I wandered into a nearby cafe. The smell of freshly baked bread and rich coffee greeted me as I entered. Bonjour, the waitress greeted me with a warm smile. Bonjour, I replied, proud of myself for remembering the word from my travel guide. She handed me a menu and I scanned the options. One dish caught my eye. Croque monsieur. May I have this, please? I asked, pointing to the menu item. The waitress nodded. Oui, bien sûr. Anything to drink? Just water, please, I said. When the food arrived, it was perfection. The melted cheese, the crispy bread, it was simple yet delicious. As I enjoyed my meal, I reflected on the chaotic start to my trip. Losing my passport, the rush through the airport, it had all been stressful, but it also taught me an important lesson. Preparation is key, but so is resilience. After dinner, I decided to take a walk and explore the neighborhood. The streets of Paris were alive with energy. Couples strolled hand in hand. Street performers played soft melodies, and the glow of vintage lamps illuminated the cobblestone roads. I came across a small bookstore with English titles in the window. Intrigued, I stepped inside. The owner, an older woman with kind eyes, greeted me. Bonsoir, she said softly. Bonsoir, I replied, feeling more confident with every interaction. As I browsed the shelves, I found a book titled The Little Prince. It was in English but included a few French phrases. Perfect for practicing, I thought. "You like this book?" the owner asked in English. "Yes," I said. "I've heard it's a classic." She smiled. "It is. A story for all ages. It will help you learn French, too." I purchased the book and left the store, feeling a sense of accomplishment. With the Eiffel Tower twinkling in the distance, I realized that every moment here, even the small ones, felt special. That evening, as I lay in bed, I opened the book and began reading. The simple language mirrored the ease of learning through stories, just like I was doing on this trip. Every word, every experience, every conversation felt like a small step toward something bigger. My last morning in Paris began with a quiet stroll along the Seine River. The soft morning light bathed the city in a golden hue, and the air was crisp and refreshing. As I walked, I reflected on my journey, not just the trip itself, but everything I had learned along the way. The challenges I faced, from losing my passport to navigating a foreign language, no longer felt like obstacles. They were stepping stones that pushed me to grow. I had learned to communicate, adapt, and embrace the beauty of the unexpected. With my suitcase packed and ready, I arrived at the airport with plenty of time to spare. This time, I triple-checked my documents and felt a sense of calm as I passed through security. The lessons from my initial panic were now second nature. While waiting for my flight, I opened The Little Prince once more. The story's themes of exploration and curiosity resonated deeply with me. Traveling alone had shown me that stepping out of your comfort zone is where true learning happens, not just about the world, but about yourself. The flight home felt shorter, perhaps because my mind was occupied with the memories I had made. Back at the airport in New York, I felt a mix of relief and nostalgia. It was comforting to return home, yet I knew a part of me would always carry Paris with me. My family greeted me with warm hugs and eager questions. "How was it?" my sister asked. "Incredible," I replied. "I learned so much about traveling, about people, and even about myself." Over dinner that evening, I shared stories of Paris, the cafe conversations, the bookstore discovery, and of course the glittering Eiffel Tower. But what surprised them most was my newfound confidence in speaking English. "You sound so fluent now," my sister exclaimed. I laughed. "I guess I practiced a lot. Traveling forces you to." In the weeks that followed, I noticed changes in myself. I was more comfortable speaking English in public, and I approached challenges with a new sense of calm and determination. The trip to Paris had been more than a vacation. It was a turning point. One day, while tidying my desk, I came across the boarding pass from my flight. The memory of that chaotic first morning at the airport came flooding back. I smiled, realizing how far I had come since then. I placed the boarding pass inside The Little Prince as a keepsake. The book, with its simple yet profound lessons, had become a symbol of my journey. Every time I opened it, I was reminded of Paris and the growth it inspired in me. As I sat by my window, watching the sun set over my neighborhood, I felt a sense of gratitude. The trip was over, but the lessons it taught me would stay with me forever. Learning English, I realized, wasn't just about grammar or vocabulary. It was about connecting with people, exploring new places, and discovering new parts of yourself. And that journey, just like my trip to Paris, was only the beginning.